The one major Scottie Scheffler has never won, and why 2026 changes everything, asterisk, asterisk. The best golfer alive has never won the U.S. Open, and the people trying to stop him this year are the ones running the tournament. Asterisk, picture this. June 21st, 2026. Shinnecock Hills, New York. Final round of the U.S. Open. A man walks up the 18th fairway. The crowd is losing its mind. If he makes par, just one simple par, he does something only 6 men in the entire history of golf have ever done, the career Grand Slam. And by the way, today is his 30th birthday. Now here's the part that nobody is talking about enough. The organization that controls whether he wins or loses that title is the exact same organization he has been publicly criticizing for months. This is not just a golf story. This is a collision. The best player on the planet. The most controversial rule changes in decades. A course with a history of destroying reputations. And one man walking into all of it, completely aware of what is coming. My name is Rick. This is Rick Analysis PGA, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why the 2026 U.S. Open might be the most loaded, the most dramatic, and the most consequential major championship in a generation. Let's get into it. But before we go any further, if you are new here, welcome. This channel exists for one reason, to go deeper than the highlights. If you want real analysis, real breakdown, real golf, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications. We are building something special here at Rick Analysis PGA, and you do not want to miss what is coming over the next few weeks as Shinnecock gets closer. Subscribe button. Right now. Do it. Okay, let's go. The storm inside golf. To understand why Scottie Scheffler's reaction matters more than anyone else's right now, you first have to understand the storm that's been tearing through professional golf for the last 6 months. Because the people who run this sport have introduced a wave of changes so sweeping, so sudden, and so controversial that the locker room has completely erupted, and the timing could not be worse. The U.S. Open is just weeks away. The most powerful voice in the game has finally spoken, and the rest of the sport is scrambling to figure out which side to stand on. It started at the top. Rolapp arrived in 2026 as the new CEO of the PGA Tour. He came over from the NFL, not from golf, and almost immediately he began reshaping the structure of the entire sport. Field sizes at full field events were cut. 156 players down to 144. Smaller events shrank from 132 to 120. And most controversially, the number of fully exempt tour cards was slashed from 125 down to 100. Think about what that means. 25 players who used to have guaranteed status. 25 players with mortgages and families and careers built on the assumption that they had a place on tour suddenly have nothing of the sort. The official reason from the PGA Tour? Pace of play. The players did not buy it for a single second. Lucas Glover, a major champion, a man who's been around this tour for 2 decades, called the explanation insulting, not frustrating, not disappointing. Insulting. That is a man who has lost patience entirely. Matt Fitzpatrick backed him publicly, pointing out what every serious golf fan already knows. The pace of play issue comes up every single year, gets talked about endlessly, and nothing ever actually changes. For Fitzpatrick, using it as justification for cutting 25 players, he called it pathetic. But here's the thing. As explosive as all of that was, the change that truly set the sport on fire did not come from the PGA Tour at all. It came from above. The golf ball rollback. The USGA and the R and the 2 bodies that govern golf worldwide have announced the golf ball rollback. Beginning in 2028, professional golfers will be required to use a ball that travels meaningfully shorter than the one they use today. Official estimates say around 12 yards. Independent testing puts it closer to 15, even 20 yards in some conditions. The stated reason is course preservation. The argument is that modern players hit the ball so far that classic golf courses, Augusta, Shinnecock, St. Andrews, have been functionally rendered obsolete, that the game has outgrown the venues that made it legendary. And the reaction from the players? Nuclear. Justin Thomas, one of the most respected voices in the game, called the USGA's decision selfish. He said the rollback is bad for golf. Full stop. And then he delivered what is now probably the most quoted line in golf in years. He asked, "If the fastest mile time keeps improving, do we make the mile longer? If NBA players jump higher every generation, do we raise the hoop?" It is a devastating analogy, and it landed perfectly. Bryson DeChambeau went even further. He called it, and I am quoting directly here, the most atrocious, uninspiring thing you could possibly do to golf. And then, on the other side of the argument, Rory McIlroy came out in public support of the rollback. Rory argued it would make almost no difference to the average golfer, that it was a necessary step for the sustainability of the sport, and that the professional game needed to stop pretending it could just grow forever without consequences. So now you have the biggest names in golf, not fighting against the tour, not fighting against the media, fighting each other, in public, over the soul of the game. And right in the middle of all of it, the world number one has not said nothing. He has said something very specific. And when you understand what he actually said, it reframes this entire debate. Quick pause right here. I want to know where you stand on this. If you think the players are right, that the governing bodies are making golf worse, drop "let them play" in the comments right now. If you think the USGA and R&A are making the right call for the future of the sport, say that too. I read every single comment on this channel. Every one. Now let's keep going. Because Scottie Scheffler's position is more nuanced than anything Justin Thomas or Bryson said, and that is exactly what makes it dangerous. What Scheffler actually said. Scottie Scheffler does not operate like most elite athletes. He is not bombastic. He does not go looking for headlines. He does not fire off quotes that are designed to go viral. When Scheffler speaks, he is deliberate, measured, and precisely because of that, when he says something critical, it hits differently than anyone else. His frustration with the direction of the sport is not really about distance. It is not about the ball rollback specifically. It is about something deeper, something more fundamental to the game itself. Scottie Scheffler's core issue is this: when a rule or a decision takes skill out of the equation and replaces it with luck, that is where he draws the line. We saw this perfectly on display at the 2025 PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. The course was soaked. Heavy rain had saturated the fairways. Players were hitting into wet turf, hitting off wet turf, and their golf balls were picking up mud, sometimes significant mud, on every other shot. In those conditions, most players and most caddies fully expected officials to allow what is called lift clean in place. You pick your ball up, clean it off, put it back. Simple. Fair. It removes a luck-based variable from a skills competition. The USGA did not allow it. And on the 16th hole, Scheffler hit what was by all accounts a perfect drive, right down the middle of the fairway, exactly where you were supposed to hit it. His ball came to rest in the short grass. He had done everything right. But when his caddy walked up to it, they saw the problem immediately. The ball had picked up mud, a significant chunk of mud on one side. And when you hit a mud ball, it does not go where you aim it. Physics does not care how good you are. The mud creates an unpredictable aerodynamic imbalance. The ball curves off an intended line, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing, a player can do about it. The shot went sideways. Double bogey on 16. A hole, a moment. That could have been a birdie or a par in a major championship. Gone. Not because of anything Scheffler did wrong, but because of a rules decision. Afterwards, he called it frustrating. And then he said something that stuck. Asterisk, a rules decision turned a skills competition into a lottery. Asterisk, that is the entire philosophy right there. That single sentence tells you everything about how Scottie Scheffler views the game of golf, and everything about what he sees going wrong with how the sport is being managed. He does not object to difficulty. He does not object to hard tests or brutal courses. He wants the best player to win. He wants skill, real, sustained, technical, mental skill, to be the deciding factor. And he is deeply, sincerely skeptical of any decision, whether it's a ball rollback, a course setup, a rules call, or anything else, that narrows the gap between the great players and the rest by introducing randomness. And here is where this whole story gets genuinely uncomfortable, because that same philosophy, that same obsession with keeping luck out of game, is about to be tested in the most ironic, almost cruel way possible. Stay with me. The twist is coming. To understand why Scheffler's voice carries more weight than anyone else's in this argument, you have to appreciate just how historically dominant this man has been. For major championships. Let that sit for a second. The Masters 2022, his first major, the one that announced him to the world, pulling away to win and confirm that a new number one had arrived. The Masters 2024, he came back to Augusta and did it again. Same course, different field, same result, dominance. The 2025 PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Yes, the same tournament where the mud ball controversy happened. Scheffler won by 5 strokes. 5. In a major. On a soaked, brutal, demanding golf course. He won it by 5. The 2025 Open Championship at Royal Portrush, the Claret Jug. 4 strokes. He claimed links golf's greatest prize and made it look almost routine. He has been ranked world number 1 for a stretch that has started to feel like the natural state of the sport. He is the most automatic winner professional golf has seen since Tiger Woods was in his prime, when a player would that resume for majors, years at number 1. The kind of form that makes other world-class players feel like they're competing for second place. When that player tells you a rule is bad for golf, this is not the complaint of someone struggling to adapt. This is not sour grapes from a player on the back 9 of his career. This is the verdict of the best golfer alive, and he has one piece of unfinished business. The Masters, done. The PGA Championship, done. The Open Championship, done. The U.S. Open has never belonged to Scottie Scheffler. In 8 career appearances, he has never held that trophy. His best result was a runner-up finish back in 2022, close enough to taste it, not close enough to claim it. He has had top 10s. He has contended, but he has also had nightmares. The 2024 U.S. Open at Pinehurst was one of them. Scheffler stumbled to a tie for 43rd, and afterwards, in one of the most honest, raw quotes you will ever hear from an elite athlete, he described the game of golf as a asterisk mental torture chamber. Asterisk. That is not a man who is comfortable. That is a man who genuinely suffers for the sport. And that vulnerability, that honesty, is part of what makes him so compelling to watch. The U.S. Open is his one blind spot, the one major that has refused to yield to his greatness. And if he wins it in 2026, he becomes just the 7th player in the entire history of professional golf to complete the career Grand Slam, joining Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and Rory McIlroy. 7 men in the entire history of golf. That is the list he is trying to join. And the date of the final round? June 21st, 2026. Scottie Scheffler's 30th birthday. Complete the career Grand Slam. Join the immortals of the sport. Do it on the day you turn 30. You genuinely could not write a better script. But here's a cruel twist that makes all of this feel almost designed to break him. And I promise you, once you hear this, you'll understand why this is the most loaded U.S. Open in years. Don't go anywhere. The 2026 U.S. Open is being hosted by the USGA, the very body whose ball Rollback Scheffler's peers have been publicly savaging. The same organization accused of selfish decision-making. The group that, in Scheffler's own words, has been introducing randomness into a sport that should reward skill. And they are hosting it at Shinnecock Hills in Southampton, New York. If you do not know Shinnecock's reputation, let me paint you a picture. The last time the U.S. Open went there was 2018. Brooks Koepka won the title at just 1 over par. 1 over par. In a major, on a course so brutal that the 3rd round produced a scoring average above 75. Players walked off that golf course in 2018 and publicly called the setup broken. Not hard. Not challenging. Broken. Unfair. A test that had crossed the line from demanding to chaotic. This is Shinnecock Hills. Fast greens, brutal rough. Expose a wind that shifts direction seemingly at will, with pin positions that can turn a good shot into a nightmare and a mediocre shot into a birdie, depending entirely on which way the breeze happens to be blowing at that exact moment. This is precisely the kind of setup that Scheffler has been warning against for months. The luck versus skill conversation he's been having with anyone who will listen. It was, in many ways, a preview of what awaits him at Shinnecock. He is walking into a test run by the people he publicly disagrees with, on a course with documented history of turning skill-based competition into a survival lottery, with a career Grand Slam on the line. And he is the betting favorite to win it. Scheffler is sitting around plus 450 at most books, shorter than anyone else in the field, which for a U.S. Open is a significant statement. The betting market believes in him even at Shinnecock, even with everything stacked against him. And the form backs it up entirely. Coming into the championship, he has been close to unplayable. A win, multiple top 5 finishes, a string of run-up results that suggest a man who is building towards something, who is peaking at exactly the right moment. His game is theoretically built for the U.S. Open. He is the most accurate ball striker in the world. He is mentally as resilient as anyone who has ever played this game. He grinds. He does not panic. He does not give shots away. He makes you beat him. On a course that punishes loose driving and rewards precision above almost everything else, Scottie Scheffler should, on paper, be perfectly suited to Shinnecock. But that is the danger hiding inside that sentence. A course this severe, set up by a body that's committed to making it punishing, can and will produce exactly the kind of luck-driven moments Scheffler has been talking about all year. A bad bounce on a rock-hard green, a mud ball, a brutal back pin on a windy afternoon, where the difference between birdie and bogey is 6 inches of wind that nobody can predict or control. The best player in the world can be knocked out of championship, the championship of his career, by the exact problem he has spent months warning the sport about. That is the irony at the heart of this entire story. Scottie Scheffler's biggest criticism of modern golf, that the decisions being made are introducing randomness, are taking skill out of the equation, are making the best players indistinguishable from the rest, is now the single biggest threat standing between him and sporting immortality. He is the best player in the world. He is openly skeptical of the organization running this tournament. He is walking onto the most punishing stage they have ever prepared, with a grand slam and a 30th birthday celebration waiting on the other side. If he wins, he silences every doubt. He joins the legends. He proves that even in an era of chaos and controversy, greatness finds a way. If the setup destroys him, if a bad bounce or a brutal pin or a rule he has warned against costs him the title, then everything he's been saying about the direction of this sport will look painfully, undeniably prophetic. Either way, Scottie Scheffler has made his position clear. Now he has to prove it the only way that matters, with a golf club in his hands. On the toughest test the game can offer, against a governing body he does not fully trust. The whole golf world will be watching, and so will we, right here at Rick Analysis PGA. If this breakdown got you locked in for Shinnecock, smash that like button before you leave. It is genuinely the single biggest thing that tells the algorithm to push this channel to other golf fans who need to see it. And subscribe right now, because we're going deep on the U.S. Open preview, the full Shinnecock breakdown, the field analysis and round-by-round coverage as soon as the tournament begins. The story is just getting started. Don't miss what comes next. ***.